The sun dipped below the horizon. It cast long shadows over lake bottom in Finland. The year was 1960. June was slipping away. 4 teenagers were camping on the lake's shore. They were enjoying the carefree days of summer. They were unaware of the horror that awaited them. The peace of the night would soon be shattered. Screams would echo through the trees. A nightmare was about to unfold. This chilling tale would haunt Finland for decades to come. The teenagers were filled with the joy of summer. The sun was shining brightly, casting a golden hue over the landscape. The air was filled with the sounds of laughter and the chirping of birds. It was a perfect day to be outdoors, enjoying the warmth and freedom that summer brings. There was 15-year-old Irmeli Björklund. She had a radiant smile that could light up the darkest of days. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she looked forward to the adventures that lay ahead. She was full of life and energy, ready to make the most of every moment. Her boyfriend, Seppo Boisman, was 18. He was tall and athletic, with a confident demeanor that made him a natural leader among his friends. Seppo was always up for a challenge, and he loved the thrill of exploring new places and trying new things. They were joined by another couple, Tuulikki Maki, also 15, and Niels Gustafson, 18. Tuulikki was Irmeli's best friend, and the 2 girls were inseparable. Niels, like Seppo, was adventurous and always looking for excitement. The 4 of them made a perfect team, ready to take on the world together. They pitched their tent on the shore. The spot they chose was idyllic, with a clear view of the lake and surrounded by tall pine trees. They worked together, each contributing to the task, their laughter echoing through the forest as they set up their temporary home. The lake was a popular spot for swimming and picnicking. The air was warm, and the water was inviting. Families and friends gathered around, enjoying the beautiful day. The teenagers joined in, splashing in the cool water and soaking up the sun. The scent of pine needles filled the air. They laughed and talked, sharing stories and dreams. The forest around them was alive with the sounds of nature, creating a peaceful and serene atmosphere. It was a moment of pure happiness, a memory they would cherish forever. They swam in the cool water. The lake was crystal clear, and they could see the fish swimming below. They felt a sense of freedom and exhilaration as they dove and played in the water, their laughter ringing out across the lake. Night fell, and they settled into their tent. The sky was a deep shade of blue, dotted with stars. The air was cool, and the sounds of the forest surrounded them. They felt safe and content, wrapped in the warmth of their friendship and the beauty of the night. They were unaware of the darkness that was closing in around them. The night seemed peaceful, but there was an eerie stillness in the air. The forest, which had been so full of life during the day, now seemed to hold its breath, waiting, the calm before the storm. The next morning dawned bright. A group of birdwatchers arrived at the campsite. They were greeted by a scene of unimaginable horror. The tent was in ruins. It was ripped apart. 3 bodies lay lifeless inside. They had been brutally murdered. The victims were Irmeli, Seppo, and Tuulikki. They had been stabbed and bludgeoned to death. Their bodies bore horrific wounds. The 4th teenager, Niels Gustafson, was missing. News of the murders spread like wildfire. Panic gripped the nation. The police descended upon Lake Bottom. They desperately searched for clues. The crime scene was a gruesome puzzle. The tent was slashed open. The victims' belongings were scattered around. Niels Gustafson, the sole survivor, was found alive. He was lying injured near the shore. He was rushed to the hospital. His injuries were severe. He had suffered a concussion and a broken jaw. He had no memory of the attack. He couldn't provide any leads. Section 5, Shadows of Doubt, the suspects emerge. The investigation into the Lake Bottom murders was extensive. It was also highly controversial. The police followed countless leads. They interviewed hundreds of people. Several suspects emerged. Each had their own dark secrets. Each had their own possible motives. There was a KGB spy rumored to be operating in the area. There was a local man with a history of violence. And then there was Niels Gustafson himself. He was the victim who became a suspect. Section 6. The KGB Spy, Whispers of Espionage. The Cold War cast a long shadow over the investigation. The era was marked by intense suspicion and paranoia, with every shadow and whisper potentially hiding a spy. The tension between the East and the West was palpable, and Finland, with its strategic location, was a hotbed of espionage activities. Rumors swirled that the murders were the work of a KGB spy. The local populace was rife with speculation, and every unusual event was seen through the lens of Cold War intrigue. The idea that a Soviet agent could be operating in their midst was both terrifying and thrilling to the residents. Some speculated that the teenagers had stumbled upon a clandestine meeting. Perhaps they had seen something they shouldn't have, something that threatened to expose a covert operation. The forest, with its dense cover and secluded paths, was the perfect place for secret rendezvous. They were silenced to protect a secret operation. The thought that these young lives were snuffed out to maintain the secrecy of a spy mission was chilling. It painted a picture of a ruthless world where human life was expendable in the grand game of espionage. The KGB theory was fueled by the political climate of the time. Politicians and media outlets often played up the threat of Soviet espionage to rally public support and justify their actions. This created an environment where the idea of a KGB spy behind the murders seemed not just plausible, but likely. Finland was caught between the Soviet Union and the West. Its geographical position made it a strategic point of interest for both sides. The country was a crossroads of espionage, with spies from both blocs operating within its borders, each trying to outmaneuver the other. The idea of a foreign agent operating on Finnish soil was not far-fetched. In fact, it was almost expected. The streets of Helsinki and other cities were often the stage for covert operations, with agents blending into the crowd, always watching, always listening. However, no concrete evidence ever linked the KGB to the murders. Despite the rumors and the fear, the investigation never found definitive proof of Soviet involvement. The mystery remained unsolved, a dark chapter in the annals of Cold War history, leaving behind whispers of espionage that still echo today. Section 7. The Local Outcast. A familiar pattern of violence? Another suspect was a man named Esko Alvinen. He was a known criminal. He had a history of violence. He lived near Lake Bottom. He committed suicide in 1969. He confessed to the murders in his suicide note. However, many doubted Alvinen's confession. It was riddled with inconsistencies. It didn't match the evidence found at the crime scene. Alvinen's wife also provided an alibi. She claimed he was at home on the night of the murders. Section 8. Niels Gustafson, from victim to suspect. In a shocking turn of events, Niels Gustafson, the sole survivor of the Lake Bottom murders, became a suspect. This unexpected twist left many in disbelief, as he had been seen as a victim for decades. The case, which had gone cold, suddenly reignited with new fervor. In 2004, new DNA evidence emerged. This breakthrough was the result of advancements in forensic technology, allowing investigators to re-examine old evidence with fresh eyes. The DNA analysis was meticulous and thorough, aiming to uncover any hidden truths. It linked Gustafson to the crime scene in a way that had not been possible before. The evidence suggested that he was not just a bystander, but potentially involved in the tragic events that unfolded that night. He was arrested and charged with the murders of his friends. The news of his arrest sent shockwaves through the community, as people struggled to reconcile the image of Gustafson as a victim with the new allegations against him. The prosecution argued that Gustafson had killed his friends in a fit of jealous rage. They presented a narrative of a night gone horribly wrong, fueled by emotions and possibly alcohol. The courtroom was filled with tension as both sides presented their cases. They pointed to his injuries, which they claimed were self-inflicted. These injuries, they argued, were part of a cover-up to make it appear as though he had been attacked as well. Gustafson maintained his innocence throughout the trial. He was adamant that he had no memory of the night, a claim that both puzzled and frustrated investigators and the public alike. He claimed he had no memory of the night, which made it difficult for both the defense and prosecution to build a clear narrative of what had happened. This lack of memory became a central point of contention in the trial. In 2005, he was acquitted due to lack of evidence. The acquittal brought a mix of relief and unresolved questions. While Gustafson walked free, the mystery of what truly happened at Lake Bottom remained unsolved, leaving a haunting legacy that continues to intrigue and baffle to this day. Section 9. The Unsolved Mystery lingers. The Lake Bottom murders remain one of Finland's most haunting unsolved cases. The murders shocked the nation. They continue to fascinate and horrify people to this day. Theories abound, speculation continues, but the truth remains elusive. The passage of time has done little to dim the memory of that terrible night. The victims' families still wait for answers. They seek closure. The mystery of who killed the teenagers at Lake Bottom continues. It stands as a chilling reminder that some crimes may never be solved.